Welcome to a dark journey through ancient, bloody battlefields and the freezing reality of modern wars. Centuries ago, millions of men perished in massive wars simply to feed a monarch's endless pride. Today, these exact same ruthless battles are fought with stocks inside pristine glass boardrooms on Wall Street. What links a starving soldier in the mud to a billionaire planning a hostile corporate takeover? The answer is a phantom from the shadows, whose 13 chapters of deception still rule our modern world. The spring and autumn period of ancient China was an unforgiving grinder of fragile human lives. Millions of desperate peasants were thrown into chaotic, close-quarters combat for small pieces of land. History reveals war was romanticized as a glorious game for the deeply arrogant noblemen. They measured ultimate success by raw muscle power and praised blind courage upon the battlefield. These proud nobles rode heavily on ornate chariots, completely detached from the tragic ruin below. Infantry clashed in deep, sticky mud, their worn leather armor soaked in the crimson stains of their brothers. They fought fiercely with chipped bronze spears, entirely blind to the strategic uselessness of their deaths. When the thick smoke finally cleared, both the victorious army and defeated foes were utterly drained. Each battle was merely a horrific Pyrrhic victory, leaving surviving troops broken and hollow. Imagine standing in that chaos. Would you blindly follow a proud king to a meaningless, muddy grave? This constant warfare demanded an endless supply of men, dragging young farmers away from their lands. Without farmers to harvest the crops, devastating famines swept rapidly across ancient territories. Massive armies consumed huge amounts of grain daily, placing a heavy burden on the fragile economy. Entire villages were left abandoned and silent, while grieving mothers wept for their deeply scarred sons. Kings stubbornly believed that sending more troops would magically secure a fast and glorious victory. Yet reality was far more cruel. The endless conflict simply drained the national treasury dry. Weapons rusted in the damp soil, and mighty bronze chariots slowly rotted under the unforgiving sun. This primitive warfare was fundamentally flawed, functioning exactly like a failing business model. Rulers invested huge capital into raising massive forces, but the returns were always negative. To conquer a single fortified city, a kingdom might lose an entire generation of strong young men. Peasant rebellions secretly brewed in the shadows, fueled by immense hunger and boiling resentment. Old generals refused to change their tactics, stubbornly clinging to outdated notions of martial honor. They believed true victory required stepping over fallen bodies while staring death right in the eyes. Modern historians argue this brutal approach was merely a rapid, systematic path to destruction. The ancient Chinese world was slowly bleeding out, desperately waiting for a strategic revolution. By the year 512 BC, the ancient state of Wu found itself trapped in a terrifying crisis. King Helu aggressively paced the dark halls of his court, burdened by the heavy weight of a dying nation. His once glorious army was severely depleted, and his royal treasury was completely barren. Emaciated ministers knelt trembling on the cold floor, nervously reporting the spreading starvation. The kingdom was completely surrounded by massive enemy powers, just like the mighty state of Chu. Helu realized continuing the meat grinder strategy would guarantee his absolute destruction. He gripped a blank bamboo slip in his sweaty hands, desperately searching for a viable new path. Just outside the palace, desperate peasants collapsed on the dirt roads, clutching their cracked wooden bowls. The cries of starving children echoed through the abandoned villages, a haunting soundtrack of failure. Every single coin spent on forging new bronze weapons meant less grain to feed the highly angry public. The troubled king stared into the flickering torchlight, feeling the immense pressure of a dying empire. Fighting massive field battles with a starving population was a reckless gamble he could not afford. The old book of documents offered moral guidance, but morality cannot defeat an armed foe. Helu needed a cold, calculated method to dismantle his powerful foes from within. He realized that physical strength and honorable duels were illusions created by foolish men. A deep sense of paranoia infected the royal court. Spies and assassins could be lurking nearby. The survival of Wu required entirely abandoning the ancient rules of honorable war. It was a crucial turning point. Helu had to evolve into a predator, or his kingdom would fall. Historical texts show that moments of extreme desperation often attract the most dangerous minds. The heavy wooden doors of the command tent creaked open, allowing the freezing wind to rush inside. The king's exhausted eyes darted towards the entrance, anticipating another useless general. Instead, the flickering torches revealed a different kind of man, one who worked in the deep shadows. He brought no massive armies, no gleaming bronze chariots, and absolutely no promises of glory. All he carried was a bound scroll of 13 bamboo slips, holding the most lethal ideas yet formed. This quiet, unassuming figure was about to rewrite the bloody rules of human conflict forever. His name was Sun Tzu, a mysterious strategist whose piercing eyes showed an analytical mind. He stepped out from the deep shadows of the tent, radiating a calm and authoritative aura. Presenting his 13 chapters, he immediately shattered the king's illusions of honorable war. Sun Tzu did not teach the art of physical combat. He taught the dark psychology of manipulation. He declared with absolute certainty that all warfare is fundamentally based upon deception. King Helu leaned forward in the silence, his tired eyes suddenly burning with a deeply dark ambition. He finally realized muscle and honor were foolish tools that rapidly destroyed real empires. Sun Tzu effectively taught the desperate king to strictly calculate the true cost of every arrow. Why fight a massive, bloody battle on the field when you can simply buy the enemy's hidden spies? Silent shadow operatives sneaked deep into the rival state's highly guarded and fortified dark heart. They ruthlessly burned grain supplies and spread vicious rumors among the increasingly fearful generals. A single clever whisper in the dark is often far more destructive than 1,000 gleaming swords. Sun Tzu systematically broke down the core psychological flaws of all the opposing leaders. If the enemy commander is quick-tempered and arrogant, irritate him completely until he fails. If they are fully united, sow deep suspicion and simply watch them violently tear themselves apart. Warfare is never about dying for your country. It is about making the enemy perish instead. King Helu subtly smiled as he finally realized the brilliance of this dark and cunning logic. He fully stopped wasting his national treasury on massive and heavily armed foot soldiers. Instead, he heavily funded invisible networks of spies to perfectly paralyze rival kings. The absolute ultimate military achievement is subduing your bitter foes without fighting. Why break down giant city walls with force when you can easily just bribe the greedy gatekeepers? This single dark philosophy completely shifted the brutal balance of ancient sovereign power. By effectively avoiding direct combat, the state of Wu preserved its most vital resources. Opposing generals were constantly and deeply confused by this new, terrifying strategy. They angrily swung their heavy swords at shadows, utterly exhausting themselves for absolute nothing. Sun Tzu essentially turned the enemy's massive physical strength directly against them. This quiet, calculated method was vastly superior to the endless, devastating bloodbaths. In just a few very short years, the weak state of Wu became an absolute, mighty superpower. King Helu confidently stood upon his grand balcony, ruling a newly conquered empire. His dark royal robes remained perfectly clean, entirely free from the chaotic mud of war. He fully realized the greatest weapon in his arsenal was a quiet man's vast intellect. Through pure and ruthless deception, the truly terrifying chaos of war was finally mastered. But the master strategist Sun Tzu slowly and quietly faded back into the dark shadows. Some modern historians even doubt he existed, calling him a brilliant, ghostly ancient myth. Yet, his 13 bamboo chapters miraculously survived the cruel test of thousands of years. Let us fast forward through time. The ancient muddy battlefields fade into weapons of cold steel. We now enter the modern era, where the exact same dark and predatory instincts stay alive. Inside the Pentagon during the tense Cold War, American generals deeply studied his words. A stern and weary American commander stood smoking a cigar by a glowing global map. He fully realized nuclear war was simply the modern version of the ancient meat grinder. To fully defeat the Soviets, America needed to apply Sun Tzu's brilliant hidden tactics. They used extreme pressure and psychological espionage to bankrupt their main rival. The Soviet Union collapsed from within, fully destroyed without fighting a major battle. This was the perfect and ultimate proof of his dark strategy. The phantom struck once again. But the ancient ghost of Sun Tzu did not simply stop at military war and politics. Even today, his highly brutal philosophy completely dominates the fierce markets of Wall Street. We see a sharp corporate CEO standing tall inside his towering and pristine glass boardroom. He wears a tailored navy suit, quickly checking his watch while studying complex digital charts. These highly wealthy tycoons are the modern kings, fighting entirely invisible global wars. They launch aggressive, hostile takeovers, quietly bleeding their rival companies completely dry. In brutal corporate warfare, stealing trade secrets is simply the modern form of espionage. They use mass public deception to freely manipulate the volatile stock market prices. Sun Tzu's ancient ghost secretly smiles as these executives execute his dark instructions. A ruthless business model survives because it fully understands human flaws and boundless greed. The weapons have dramatically evolved from primitive bronze swords to digital algorithms. However, the fundamental core nature of violent human conflict truly never changes. As long as there is endless power to be taken, the master's phantom will always remain. We are all merely fragile pawns moving blindly across his giant, timeless strategic board. The Art of War is not a dusty history book, it is the hidden operating system. Whether you wear stained armor or a tailored navy suit, you simply play by his cruel, dark rules. Sun Tzu effectively taught that true excellence is breaking the enemy's mind without a war. Are his cold tactics pure human genius or the dark tools of a brutal tyrant? Tell us below. If you truly enjoyed this deep historical dive, please share, like, and subscribe for much more content.